This past March, we began a home improvement project in the Jones household. We had planned and saved and gotten so excited, we went to Lowe's and spent hours picking out tile and fixtures and decorative tile, and we were finally ready to redo our shower. So the work crew came in and did all the demolition. They pulled the old shower out, and then the stay-at-home orders were issued and everything came to a halt. We were frozen in time with a torn-out shower. The only ones who liked this situation were the cats. They loved to sit on all the blankets that the work crew had left behind. But now, after lots and lots of waiting, our shower has finally been finished. It's absolutely beautiful. I love how the decorative tile all comes together, layer after layer after layer. But I learned another profound lesson from the building process. I thought the hard part of all of this was the waiting. Nothing was happening, and that was incredibly difficult. But when the building started, I was so excited. I just knew that the worst was behind us. It was going to be all fun and roses from there on out. Then the construction began, and there was dust, and there was this giant saw, and there were pieces of tile being cut all the time, and there was dust, and there was dust, and there was dust. And then came the pieces of equipment that I would trip over in the middle of the night as I passed through there to try to go to the bathroom. And there was all that banging during the day. And did I mention the dust? I thought it was all downhill once the construction started back up. Was I ever wrong? Isn't that true for all of us? Perhaps we thought that once we just get through the stay-at-home orders, things will be easier. Or we think we just have to make it over this last bump in the road. Or I'll think, if only that person would do exactly what I tell him to do, it'll be downhill the rest of the way. But building a new shower, new lives, new relationships, new ways of doing things is hard. Even harder than waiting around doing nothing. It's difficult work, and we are going to trip over things, and there is a lot of dust. We are in a time in our nation when we are looking at rebuilding in the midst of a pandemic, the likes of which we have never seen before. This is also a time when we are taking a long, hard look at ourselves, our practices, our presumptions, our ways of communicating, and how we understand justice and equality. If that is not a dusty time, I don't know what is. Did you know that dust actually shows up several times in the Bible? There's one time when Jesus talks about shaking the dust off your feet. He's talking about how challenging it is to be a witness for Christ. That is indeed dusty work. Then, though, there's a time when Jesus bends down and washes the dust off of his disciples' feet. I am so thankful that Christ does bend down to wash the dust off. But I'm also so very glad that he acknowledges that living for him is dusty work. It is. It is because it involves lots of building and rebuilding. Building is hard work, and there is going to be dust. But in the midst of all that hard work, we can cling to the good news that Christ is always beside us, walking with us, and bending down to wash off our weary feet and our weary hearts. And all along the way, He is opening His arms to welcome us in His loving embrace, no matter how dusty we are. As a matter of fact, how dusty we are is not important, but turning and returning to Him in the midst of the construction process is. In the midst of all this building and rebuilding, we desperately need Christ's grace, His guidance, and His hope. We need Christ with us as we participate in this building project that we call our lives, our new normal, our reality. As we turn and return to Christ in the midst of this building project, we will know that all the dust is worth it, because in Christ, the finished product is absolutely beautiful.